Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again and we're still looking at the stuff from Ether Drift, and today it's turn for Daretti, Rocketeer Engineer. 4 on a red for a star 5 Goblin Artificer, and his power is equal to the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. However, when Daretti enters or attacks, choose an artifact card in your graveyard. You may, target artifact card in your graveyard. That is important because people can remove it. You may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return the chosen card to your battlefield. Very similar for the second ability to the Daretti planeswalker ability that could be commander. The power of things interesting, but we're not really here for that. We just want to basically use Daretti to attack occasionally, get something back that's powerful from our graveyard into play, and then take it from there. So discarding cards is good, artifact creation is good, getting big things into play is even better, especially if you can give them haste somehow. So here we go. Here's what today's deck looks like to kick the week off. As usual, just a reminder for these decks, obviously the whole set isn't spoiled yet for Ether Drift, so I'm just picking cards I've already got. They're all going to be starting points. The occasional deck does have some of the new cards in it, but today's, it's really about everything we've got, because I don't think there's a lot of support for this in the main set from what I've seen so far, so it's old school stuff is here. So Impulsive Pilfer gives us a treasure token when it dies. Artifact we can sacrifice. I'm not going to say it all the time, but you know the plan. Charmed Scoundrel, artifact, wicked token if we know, wicked roll token if we need it. You know, discard and draw a card. So it does all two of the things we really want to do. So whatever we need this to do, this can get it sorted out. Generous Plunderer's in, just so we can create those artifacts every turn before we attack with Daretti. And then I've got Magda, the Horde Master. Now, we do commit the odd crime, I admit, so we'll get a tapped treasure token every so often, but it's also here as a backup win condition from my point of view, because if we've got a whole load of treasures kicking around and we've got spare ones around, we can sack them off to get the 4/4 red scorpion dragons with flying and haste. So, you know, gives another way of winning in the air if we need to. Scrapwork Mutt serves double duty, enters the battlefield, discard a card. If we do draw a card, it's also an artifact we can return to just keep cycling through our deck. Steel Overmaster's in, just so we can pump up our artifact creatures that we have when they come into play. We've got Academy Manufacturer to give us those extra artifacts to sacrifice when we create the treasures. Glon, the Dwarven Emissary, is also here because we do have historic spells, so might as well have them here as well to get the treasure tokens. Zorn gives us extra treasures every time we get one. Atuzi, the Blazing Sky, does the hold 3 treasures when it dies. Enduring Courage just gives us a way of pumping up our creatures and giving them haste, which is quite nice with Daretti, to be fair. Hence why it's here. We can play Daretti, sack an artifact, get another artifact back, attack with Daretti, sack another artifact, get another artifact back. It works reasonably well from my point of view. Rose Room Treasurer is also in, just to give us those treasure tokens when creatures enter. And then we've got Rose, the Cutthroat Raider, to give us junk tokens, which are artifacts. So, you know, another one, something to sacrifice. Solemn Sim for the ramp. Bonehorde Dracosaur, because I'm playing mono red, but it does give us treasures, which does help. Goldspan for obvious reasons, and then we've got the first one of the artifact creatures, real good ones, Khan, Legacy Reforged. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may add colourless mana for each artifact you control. This mana can't be spent to cast non-artifact spells. That's fine. Until the end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. We do have a fair few artifacts, so we probably use that mana occasionally to cast things with. Kuldutha's here to go sacrifice artifacts we need to go and get an artifact card from our library and put it on the battlefield. Ancient Copper Dragon gives us loads of treasures. Duplicate to remove those annoying creatures that we have and then become a copy of it. It's still a shapeshifter. Overlord of the Boiler Barges is here, just give us that full damage when we can do the impending cost, and if we do get to pay the 6 and attack with it, it does do a lot of damage quite quickly. And then we have the main aim of the decks, the ones we're trying to get in the graveyard, all the colourless cards. So we've got Wormcoil Engine, Mere Battlesphere, Bosch the Iron Golem. It seems like a no-brainer to me for this deck. Whether it works or not, I'm not sure, but 8's a lot. But if we can get it to the graveyard and get it back with Daretti, I'm fine with that. But it gives us a sacrifice outlet for some of our artifacts. So, for example, pay 4 mana, sacrifice Wormcoil, deal 6 damage to something, have the 2 things there, attack with Daretti, sacrifice one of the Wormcoil tokens, and get the Wormcoil Engine back. Complicated, I know, but it does work. Likewise, Cityscape Levelers in as well to
destroys something, a non-land permanent. It gives someone a tap Power Stone token, but we're not really worried about that. Phyrexian Triniform, because we can sack this off or attack with this and just get it back, and then get all those lovely Golem tokens when it dies. Same with Triplicate Titan for obvious reasons, and then Darksteel Colossus. I was, and I'm going to be honest, very tempted to play Blightsteel Colossus in the deck as well, but not convinced. I mean, you could play Blightsteel over Cityscape, but the Infect win on Commander on Magic Online. I know in most friendly local gaming stores, poison level's 21, like Commander damage, but on Magic Online it's still 10, and that seems a little bit wrong to me for Commander, so I've avoided it. But if you want to play it in real life, probably drop the leveler and play the Phyrexian Colossus if you've got one. Blightsteel Colossus even, get the terminology right eventually. I have played the other version of Daretti because he does two of the things we need him to do. We can discard 2 cards, then draw that many cards, and then sacrifice an artifact and return a target artifact card from our graveyard to the battlefield. So same ability as on the Rocketeer, a little bit cheaper to do it, so he's here as well. We have some spells, and they do mainly do a lot of discarding for us. So Burning Inquiry, Faithless Looting, Strike It Rich gives us a treasure. These discard and draw, as you know. Karthik Pyre does either 3 damage if we need to take out an annoying creature, or we can discard 2 cards and draw that many cards to give us fodder in the graveyard for Daretti to reanimate, if you want to call it that. Karthik Reunion, discard 2, draw 3, seize the spoils, discard a card, 2 cards and a treasure token, so food for Daretti. Big Score, 2 cards and 2 foods for Daretti. Pirate's Pillage, 2 cards and 2 food for Daretti. Unexpected Windfall, discard a card, 2 cards and 2 foods. And then, just because we can do it this way, Reforge the Soul is here, just so we can dump our whole hand into our graveyard if we need to at any stage. Hopefully for the miracle cost we can still do things in our turn. We have a lot of artifacts, and I do mean a lot. So, we have a fair bit of ramp. You have a Flowing Chalice, Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman. The first non-ramp, Retrofitted Foundry, because we can create servo artifact creature tokens that are push if we need to have some things to sacrifice off to Daretti. Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Farewell Stone, Mind Stone, Fire Diamond, Mind Stone, Ruby Medallion, Thought Vessel all give us our ramp. Then we have Hazoret's Monument. When we cast a red creature spell, we can discard a card and draw a card, so another way of getting our artifacts into the graveyard. Inspiring Statuaries is in as well, just so we can use our artifacts to cast our spells, and it seemed like a cunning plan to have this in for the improvise ability. Matzalanti, the Great Door, another way of discarding cards, draw and discard, and then if we do flip him over to get the whole Descent thing on the go, then might give us some extra mana, a lot of red mana hopefully. The Reaver Cleaver's in, just a bit of equipment to give us some treasure tokens if we can hit with something. Grimoire of the Dead, just another discard outlet, and if need be, we can remove the 3 study counters, sacrifice the Grimoire, and get all the creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under our control, which I thought was a cunning plan. Pyromancer's Goggles are also in to give us that extra red mana and copy some of the spells we'll be casting from up here. Tamiyo's Journal to give some clue tokens, and then we can always sacrifice clues if we need to go and find something. Same with Transmutation Fault. The blood tokens are very good. They give us a way of discarding cards as well, so bear that in mind. It may be blood or food you'll be getting off the Transmutation Fault. I went with Chimney, the Inner Circle, the Inner Sun, just to stop all our things being counterspelled, so seemed like a good plan to me. Chromatic Orrery, so we can actually spend mana as though it were mana of any colour. Gives us 5 mana, and we get to draw a card for each colour among permanents we control for 5, so we're only ever going to draw 1, so it's not worth it. But the first ability and the second ability really do work out on this one. And finally, the big boy, Portal to Phyrexia, had to be here just to do the whole sacrificing and nicking stuff. We have a few other little bits that are fun. Hammer of Perforos is a legendary enchantment and artifact, so we can go and find it with Daretti and bring it back if we need to, but it gives everything haste. Sneak Attack seemed like a bit of a fun card to me in here. Great if you can do the whole red, put something like, I don't know, Triplicate Titan into play, and then basically attack with it and then sacrifice it and get the 3 golems. You're there, aren't you? Yeah, you just keep going. And then Charred Foil, Warp Space. I do like this room. Exiling the top 2 cards of our library. And then each turn you may pay 0 rather than paying the casting cost of a card spell from exile. Seems like a good plan to me. Lands, nothing too fancy. We've got Darksteel Citadel as another artifact we need it to sacrifice, and it's something we can bring back because it does say, you know, if you do retarget artifact card, this is an artifact card even if it's a land, and it's indestructible, so that helps a little bit. Dwarven Mine just gives us a blocker. I thought that'd be quite fun. Then just the usual selection of cards. I think it's worth mentioning for Moria Vont. Look at the top X cards, your library X, the number of artifacts we control. Put one of those cards into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library. So it's a nice way to get things out. And we do have enough artifacts in play to make this 3 mana investment worthwhile. Fountain Port just gives us a token. Eventually we can pay 4 mana and get a treasure, so it's just another way of getting treasures. But, you know, sacrificing a token to draw a card isn't the end of the world. Not sure about the fish bit. I don't know if I want to pay a life for a 1/1 fish. But I will quite happily pay 2 mana and sacrifice a token to draw a card, or pay 4 to get a treasure token. Inventor's Fair is a bit of a no-brainer. All the artifacts for the 1 life return. Mikor, the Centre of the Sea. Mines of Moria to exile 3 cards and get some treasure tokens. Nykthos, Reliquary Tower, Sokken's Being, Temple of the False God, and then finally Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, to go alongside the 21 mountains, so eventually we can start lightning bolting things. And that's it. That is my current take on Daretti. Now, I am waiting to see what other artifacts come through with Ether Drift, to see if there's anything worthwhile having there. Probably not going to look at the vehicles. I don't think they're going to, unless there's an exceptionally good vehicle, I'm not going to look at them. But there may be some other artifacts. You know, there may be some version of Portal Phyrexial, something like that, something that just does something big and flashy that could probably go in the deck. But for now, that is it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you can, subscribe down below. I'd love it. Once Ether Drift hits, you can come and see me on Twitch. There's a link down below, and you can see me play all the decks I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. So I will be playing them out in order. But for now, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Have a good one. Bye.